A brash boxing champ, Marcus "Thunder" Jackson, challenges a steadfast tomb guard at Arlington, sparking a gripping showdown. One powerful punch ignites a clash of skill and duty. Will ego or resolve triumph? Stay tuned for the revealing truths. Before we dive into this story, where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments. And if you believe values like duty, courage, and sacrifice still matter, join us in honoring their legacy. The autumn sun hung low over Arlington National Cemetery, casting golden rays across rows of white headstones standing like silent guardians. The air was crisp, with the soft rustle of falling leaves mingling with the distant hum of Washington, D.C. traffic. At the heart of this hallowed ground, the tomb of the unknown soldier stood with quiet grandeur, its marble glowing in the afternoon light. Tourists gathered respectfully, their cameras poised to capture the changing of the guard, a ritual of precision and reverence unchanged for decades. Among them, one man stood out, his presence loud in a place defined by silence. Marcus "Thunder" Jackson, better known as Thunder Jackson, strode through the crowd with the confidence of a man who commanded every space he entered. At 34, he was a heavyweight boxing champion with a record that dominated headlines. 30 wins, 27 by knockout. His custom tracksuit, emblazoned with his lightning bolt logo, clung to his sculpted frame, and a platinum chain gleamed at his neck. Trailing him was Amara Hayes, his social media manager, her phone already recording as she hyped him up for their YouTube channel. A few friends from his gym followed, their matching jackets marking them as part of Marcus's crew. The crowd parted instinctively, sensing the energy of a celebrity in their midst. "Yo, Amara, make sure you catch my best angle," Marcus said, flashing a grin that had won over millions of fans. "We're about to give these folks a show they'll never forget." Amara, 29, with quick wit and a flair for viral content, adjusted her phone's angle. "You're always camera-ready, Marcus. What's the plan today? Something epic for the fans?" Marcus's eyes locked onto the tomb of the unknown soldier, where a sentinel had just completed his shift. The guard, Sergeant Caleb Turner, moved with mechanical precision. 21 steps, a crisp turn, 21 seconds of stillness. His dark sunglasses concealed his eyes, and his immaculate uniform spoke of discipline, honed through sacrifice. Marcus watched, his grin shifting to a smirk. "Look at this dude," Marcus said, loud enough for nearby tourists to glance over. "All that marching, standing like a statue. Looks dope, sure, but what's it really worth? In my world, you stand still. You're asking to get knocked out." A few tourists chuckled nervously, but others frowned, sensing the disrespect. An older man with a veteran's pin on his jacket shook his head. A family from Virginia pulled their kids closer, whispering about respecting the space. Marcus didn't notice, too caught up in the moment, feeding off the attention. Amara egged him on. "Come on, Marcus. Show 'em how it's done in the ring. Let these folks see what a real champ looks like." Marcus rolled his shoulders, his muscles flexing under the tracksuit. "See, in boxing, it's all about flow, power, precision. I've dropped guys twice this dude's size with one hit. World champs, street fighters, you name it." He gestured toward Caleb, who had just stepped off the mat, his shift over. "This guy, he's trained to look sharp, not to throw down." Among the crowd, Colonel Aisha Brooks, a retired Army officer with 25 years of service, paused her walk. Her graying braids were tucked under a cap, and her sharp eyes narrowed as she assessed Marcus. She knew his type, talented, brash, but clueless about the world beyond his own spotlight. She edged closer, sensing trouble brewing. Marcus stepped toward Caleb, who stood near the edge of the plaza, still in his ceremonial uniform. The sunglasses gave him an air of enigma, but his posture was unwavering, professional. Marcus circled him like a shark, his voice carrying over the crowd. "Check this guy out," he said, playing to his audience. "All stiff and proper. Bet he's never thrown a punch in his life. In the ring, I'd have him down in 10 seconds flat." Amara laughed, her phone still rolling. 10 seconds? You're being generous, Marcus. 5 max, a murmur rippled through the crowd. Some tourists, drawn by the spectacle, inched closer, while others backed away, sensing trouble. A mother in a navy sweater muttered to her husband, "This guy's crossing a line." Colonel Brooks's jaw tightened, but she held back, watching Caleb's reaction, or lack thereof. Caleb stood motionless, his face unreadable behind the sunglasses, Years of training had taught him to ignore taunts, to focus solely on his duty. But Marcus wasn't done. He stepped closer, invading Caleb's space, and raised his fists in a mock boxing stance. "Come on, soldier," Marcus taunted. "Show me what you got, or is standing still all they teach you?" The crowd went silent, the tension palpable. A young couple with a toddler whispered, "This is so wrong. That guard's protecting something sacred." The woman pulled out her phone to record, just in case. Marcus, oblivious to the growing unease, started shadowboxing, his fist slicing through the air with the speed and precision that had made him a champion. "See this? This is what a real fighter looks like. Fast, strong, always ready. Not like this guy, frozen like a mannequin." Colonel Brooks had seen enough. She pushed through the crowd, her voice steady but commanding. "Young man, you're out of line. That soldier isn't just a guard. He's a sentinel, and you're standing on sacred ground." Marcus turned, his smirk fading slightly but not vanishing. "Sacred ground, huh? I respect the troops, ma'am, don't get me wrong. But this guy's just a prop. All ceremony, no substance." Brooks's eyes flashed, but before she could respond, Marcus made his move. He stepped right up to Caleb, close enough to see his reflection in the guard's sunglasses. "All right, soldier, let's make this interesting. I'm going to show these folks why boxing beats standing around any day." Amara, sensing a viral moment, zoomed in with her phone. "This is going to blow up, Marcus." "Do it." Without warning, Marcus threw a sharp right hook, his fist connecting with Caleb's face. The crack of impact echoed across the plaza, and Caleb's sunglasses shattered, fragments scattering across the stone. A thin trickle of blood appeared on his cheek. The crowd gasped, some stepping back, others frozen in shock. Amara's hand shook, her phone still recording, but her excitement turned to dread. For a moment, time froze. Marcus stepped back, his fists still raised, a triumphant grin spreading across his face. "And that's how it's done," he shouted, turning to the crowd for applause. But the applause never came. The tourists stared horrified as Caleb stood his ground, unmoved. His head had snapped to the side from the punch, but he didn't fall or stagger. His body absorbed the blow with a resilience that spoke of trials far beyond a boxing ring. Slowly, he turned to face Marcus, his eyes now visible, calm, focused, and fearless. The blood on his cheek glistened, but his expression was stone. Marcus's grin faltered. "What the—" "You're supposed to go down, man." Caleb didn't speak. Instead, he moved. His body shifted with the precision of a seasoned warrior, closing the distance in a heartbeat. Before Marcus could react, Caleb delivered a sharp, controlled jab to Marcus's chest. It wasn't flashy, but it carried the force of someone trained to end fights decisively. Marcus's reflexes kicked in, dodging to the left, his ring experience saving him from the blow. "All right, soldier, you want to play?" Marcus growled, regaining his composure. He countered with a quick left jab aimed at Caleb's jaw. The crowd held its breath, expecting another hit to land. But Caleb was ready. He sidestepped with fluid precision, his body low and balanced, as if he'd anticipated every move. In one seamless motion, he executed a combat grapple, targeting Marcus's arm. With a twist and a push, Caleb sent Marcus crashing to the ground, his knee pinning the boxer's chest with just enough pressure to keep him down. Marcus gasped, the air knocked out of him. His arms flailed, trying to break free, but Caleb's hold was unbreakable, precise and professional. The crowd stood in stunned silence, the only sound the faint rustle of leaves and Marcus's labored breathing. "Stay down," Caleb said, his voice low and authoritative, the first words he'd spoken. "This ends now." Marcus struggled briefly, his pride battling the reality of his situation. But Caleb's grip was unyielding, his training far beyond anything Marcus had faced in the ring. Finally, Marcus went still, his eyes wide with a mix of shock and dawning respect. Colonel Brooks stepped forward, her voice cutting through the tension. "All right, that's enough. Let him up, Sergeant." Caleb released Marcus and stood, resuming his parade ground posture as if nothing had happened. The blood on his cheek was still fresh, but his face remained impassive. Marcus scrambled to his feet, his tracksuit rumpled, his confidence shaken. "What the hell was that?" Marcus muttered, rubbing his chest where Caleb's knee had pressed. "You're no ordinary guard, are you?" Brooks's lips twitched into a faint smile. "No, he's not. Sergeant Caleb Turner is a tomb guard, one of the finest in the 3rd Infantry Regiment. Before this, He served 2 tours in Syria and Afghanistan, earned a Silver Star for saving his unit under fire. That's standing still, you mocked. That's discipline, son. The kind that keeps soldiers alive in chaos. Marcus's jaw dropped, the weight of her words sinking in. Amara lowered her phone, her face pale. The crowd murmured, some nodding in respect, others whispering about the guard's courage. A veteran in the back, his cap adorned with service pins, clapped slowly, his eyes shining with pride. I didn't know, Marcus said, his voice quieter now. He looked at Caleb, who stood silently, his uniform still pristine despite the scuffle. I thought you were just, a guy in a fancy uniform. Brooks's voice softened but carried authority. Being a tomb guard isn't just a job. It's a vow. These soldiers protect the memory of those who gave everything. That discipline you saw? It's not weakness. It's strength you'll never understand in a boxing ring. Marcus nodded slowly, his bravado gone. I messed up. Big time, Amara stepped forward, her voice shaky. Marcus, maybe we should go. This wasn't supposed to happen. But Marcus shook his head. No, I gotta make this right. He turned to Caleb, his hands raised in surrender. Hey man, I'm sorry. I was a fool. I didn't get what you do, what this place means. Can we talk? Caleb's expression didn't change, but he gave a slight nod. Follow me, he said, his voice calm but firm. The crowd parted as Caleb led Marcus to a small security office nearby, where Arlington's security team was arriving, their radios crackling with reports of the incident. Colonel Brooks followed, ensuring the situation stayed under control. Amara trailed behind, her phone now tucked away, her enthusiasm replaced by guilt. Inside the office, Marcus sat across from Caleb, who had removed his damaged sunglasses but maintained his military bearing. The security officer, Lieutenant Jamal Wright, stood by the door. Mr. Jackson, you're facing serious charges, Wright said. Assaulting a soldier on duty, disrupting a sacred site. It's not a small matter. Marcus nodded, his usual swagger replaced by humility. I get it. I'll face whatever comes, but first, I need to say something to him. He turned to Caleb. Man, I screwed up. I saw you standing there all rigid and proper, and I thought you were an easy target. I was dead wrong. Caleb studied him for a moment, his eyes unreadable. You're not the first to make that mistake, he said. Most people see the uniform, the ceremony, and think it's just for show. They don't see the training, the missions, the weight we carry. Marcus leaned forward, his voice earnest. That move you pulled, the one that took me down, that wasn't just some parade trick, was it? That was real. Caleb's lips twitched, the closest he'd come to a smile. We're trained to adapt, to survive. In the field, there's no referee, no bell to end the round. You act or you don't come back. Marcus let out a low whistle. I've fought some tough guys, world champs, street brawlers, but you're something else. When I hit you, you didn't even flinch. How do you do that? Caleb paused, choosing his words carefully. When you've been in a firefight, pinned down with RPGs exploding around you, a punch to the face is just another moment. You learn to take the hit and keep moving. Marcus shook his head, a mix of awe and regret in his eyes. I thought boxing was the ultimate test, proving you're the best, the toughest. But what you do? It's bigger. It's real. Caleb nodded, his voice steady. Your sport takes skill, dedication. I respect that. But this, he gestured toward the window where the tomb was visible in the distance, is about honoring those who didn't make it home. That's what drives us. Marcus sat back, the weight of Caleb's words settling over him. I'm sorry, man. Not just for the punch, but for disrespecting what you stand for. I didn't get it. I do now. Caleb met his gaze, assessing his sincerity. After a moment, he gave a single nod. Apology accepted. Lieutenant Wright cleared his throat. All right, Mr. Jackson. We'll process the charges, but your cooperation and apology will be noted. You're lucky Sergeant Turner isn't pressing this harder. Marcus stood, offering Caleb his hand. If I ever get back in the ring, I'll be thinking about this. About you. Caleb shook his hand, his grip firm but not aggressive. Keep fighting, Marcus. Just choose your battles better. As Marcus and Amara left the office, escorted by security, Colonel Brooks lingered, speaking quietly to Caleb. You handled that well, Sergeant. Most would have lost their cool. Caleb shrugged, a faint smile breaking through. Just doing my job, ma'am. Outside, the crowd had dispersed, but a few tourists lingered, whispering about what they'd seen. The veteran with the service pins approached Brooks as she stepped out. "Ma'am, is that guard all right?" "That was some punch he took." Brooks smiled. "He's tougher than that punch, believe me. Sergeant Turner's faced worse than a boxer's fist. He's one of our best." The man nodded, his voice thick with respect. "I'll tell my kids about this, about what those guards really stand for." As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the cemetery, Caleb returned to his quarters to prepare for his next shift. The cut on his cheek would heal, the broken sunglasses replaced, but the memory of the day lingered, a reminder that even in a place of solemn duty, lessons could be taught without words. Marcus, meanwhile, sat in the back of a security van, staring out at the endless rows of headstones. Amara sat beside him, silent for once. "You okay, Marcus?" she asked finally. He nodded slowly. "Yeah, I got my ass handed to me, but I think I needed it. That guy, he's not just a guard. He's a hero, and I was too blind to see it." Amara hesitated, then pulled out her phone. "I didn't post the fight, Marcus, but maybe we could share what you learned. People need to hear this." Marcus looked at her, a spark of his old fire returning. "Yeah, let's do it. Let's tell them about the real fighters, the ones who don't need a ring to prove it." The next day, Caleb stood at his post again, his uniform flawless, his movements precise. The tourists who approached now did so with a new reverence, their cameras more discreet, their whispers filled with awe. Colonel Brooks, passing by on her morning walk, paused to watch him. She smiled, knowing that sometimes the most powerful lessons were taught in silence, through actions that spoke louder than any punch. And somewhere out there, Marcus Jackson was planning his next video, not a highlight reel of knockouts, but a tribute to the men and women who stood guard over the nation's fallen, their strength hidden in plain sight.